What is up, guys? Farmer Taiki here, and we are back. The farmer hat, the rake, it's been collecting dust in the corner of my room for 2 years, but I'm bringing it back. It took 30 minutes for me to clean, but we are back, baby. And why are we back? Well, stablecoin balances going up, prices pumping, and my channel gaining YouTube subscribers. Look at that. Friday, November 10th, I gained 29 subscribers after years of down only. Let's check my metrics now. I mean, minus 20. Who are these paper hands? No. But we are back. Bull market is back and Farmer Taiki is back. And what better way to kick off Farmers of the Week than ARBITRUM short-term incentives program? So recently, the ARBITRUM DAO has approved a 50 million token incentive program, and they're going to give away tokens to various DeFi projects within the ARBITRUM ecosystem, and they're going to distribute tokens to users like you and I. So what does that mean? Better yields. Yields have been dead in the crypto space for, let's say, over a year. It's been pretty sad recently, not going to lie. But I think with prices coming up more, or a slight tick in renewed interest within retail, I think it's going to make for some decent farming opportunities. So today I have here with me 7 farming opportunities within the ARBITRUM ecosystem. So let's bring it one by one, okay? And by the way, I'm wearing a farmer hat. I'm holding a plastic rake. You should not be taking financial advice from this man, but you know we'll get going, right? Let's go over these opportunities one by one. First is Pendle. So Pendle is on various layer 2s. It's also on Ethereum mainnet, and it's a tool for you to essentially trade yield. I've tried trading yield a few times. I mean, it works, but to be honest, I think it's more of a farming opportunity than a way for people to, speculate on, like future yield, current yield, and whatnot. So for example, Mux LP, actually, let's talk about something that people are more aware of. So let's talk about GLP here. So GLP, you can essentially provide liquidity. And if you want to learn more about PTGLP and like SY and all this, you kind of have to read the docs. I'm wearing a farmer hat. I'm not that sophisticated. You can take your GLP and provide liquidity, and you can earn. Right now, it's what is it? It shows 42%-ish. And this number is wrong because these yields or these ARBITRUM tokens have not been distributed yet. If you go to Pendle, let me kind of zoom out here. These yields aren't live yet, technically, but they are going to be giving it out in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks. I mean, the thing is, this is directly from the Pendle Twitter, but they're going to, for example, the Camelot Grail ARB pair, it's going to have 75% rewards given the current TVL. I'm sure these are going to dilute, but for example, GLP, right? You can provide liquidity for GLP, let people trade yield, and also earn an additional 7.5% paid in the ARB token. Farms of the Week, we are back. Okay, talking about Camelot Grail, let's talk about this DEX. Not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of this DEX. It is what it is. But if you want to farm or dump this thing, why not, right? For example, ETH USDC, it's paying roughly 97%. Some of the yields, it comes in the form of locked tokens, but the thing is, all these yields are going to be boosted by these ARBITRUM token incentives. So the yields are not live yet, but they've been hyping it up. I mean, they posted this morning, a couple hours ago. 3 million tokens that they got. They're going to incentivize 60 plus pools for 3 months. Announcement imminent. Turn notifications on. I will not turn it on, but we are back. Next, Stella. So Stella, you may know this as Alpha Homeware. So they rebranded to Stella. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because the token was down only. But you can, go here. You can do some leveraged yield farming. Let's say, for example, this shows 1,000% APR. Might as well. Okay, so ARB USDC. What you can do is you can provide liquidity for ARB and USDC, and then you can borrow more ARB, borrow more USDC, and then kind of loop those yields. And not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of leveraged yield farming. I think it's a little bit too risky. There are a bunch of tail risks that you have to be aware of. But Stella and Alpha Homeware, they've been around since 2020. I think the team is pretty good. I've talked to them a few times, and look at these yields, right? Look at that rocket emoji, 1,000%. We are back. We are so back. Next, Perennial. So this might be a good airdrop farming opportunity if you're interested. So this is going to be another perp DEX, and right now they have this Medium article here. I'll link everything in the description below. But You can use Perennial to trade. I don't think it's that liquid, but maybe you can kind of do a double whammy farming thing where you can trade, you can LP, get some ARB tokens, and then if they do airdrop sometime in the future, which they probably will, maybe you'll be eligible for that. So season 2, season 1, they started this November 5th, and they gave away, I believe, 62,000 ARB tokens per week. And yeah, if you're a trader. So as a result, the volume went up, open interest went up, liquidity went up from 2 million to 7 million. So like I said, it's not that high, but season 2 starting November 13th, that's today, we're still back. 37.5K ARB is going to go to traders. So if you're trading on the platform, maybe you'll lose money, maybe you'll make money. You'll get some tokens, and makers, aka LPs, you can provide liquidity to these vaults and get these tokens. And like I mentioned, I'm actually not quite sure how long the season's going to last, but I would expect it to last at least a couple weeks, a couple months. So you can go to Perennial, app.perennial.finance, and all this is pretty transparent. You can go to trade tab, trade, you can long some Ether because it's over $2,000. That's a big number. You can go to earn tab. You can, like put it in the blue chip vault, the large cap vault. Maybe it's a good way to earn yield on Solana Matic and whatnot. To be honest, I'm pretty risk averse, right? I'm humble farmer tyke right now. So if I were to LP, I would probably opt for GMX and GLP, which I'll go over later. So there's that. Next is Silo.finance. So this is a pretty interesting lending market, and they're pretty well backed by various VCs. They did have a small bug in the code base a couple months ago, and they were able to patch it, and they gave $100,000 to this white hat hacker, this person here. But when it comes to lending markets, no matter how well backed they are, it's always pretty risky. And I think that's why, I think Aave has a big role to play in the next cycle. When it comes to banks, I think brand Lindy is very, very important. You can introduce tail risk assets, you can introduce farming emissions, you can introduce, additional perks and whatnot. But when you're using a bank, you just want to make sure that your money is not going to be gone. Even looking back to Euler Finance or Euler Finance, whatever you want to call it, they were well backed. They have 9 figures in TVL, and even they were exploited. They got their money back, of course, because I think they went to authorities and they kind of threatened the hacker and whatnot. But just something to be aware of. Like I mentioned, I'm wearing a farmer hat, holding a rake for the past, past 7.5 minutes. Like, you really shouldn't be listening to me. But, for example, you can, deposit Curve USD, for example, and be paid additional emissions in CRV. Actually, no, this is on, what am I looking at? Okay, like, I have to look at ARBITRUM. Okay, this is the ARBITRUM. this is the, what am I doing? Okay, ARBITRUM. Okay, so, you can take the wrapped stake deed. You can deposit it here, right? You can deposit it here and earn 1.2% from people borrowing stake, right? So this is native yield, real yield. We like that. And then also 5.5% rewards in ARB token. That's cool. And then you go here, right? You can, for example, where are the stable coins here? Okay. Actually, no. Yeah, this is the stablecoin bar. So for example, we'll take wrap stake deed because we already talked about it. You can earn 6.6% lending out your stake deed. And also, you can't forget, wrap stake deed is earning like 3 to 4% in the staking yield, right? So you're basically getting like a 10% yield, right? Holding Ether. And then you can borrow USDC. Look at that, right? 10% in ETH, right? That's earning yield. You can borrow USDC and be paid to do so, right? Paid to borrow. Remember that, right? Polygon days, like we're really going back to the, the farmer tyke days. And then, right, you're being paid to borrow. You can take your USDC and you can deposit it into whatever, right? Maybe you can borrow USDC, deposit it into Pendle Finance. That's something you can do. You can take some USDC. You can, I don't know, like maybe stake it in vaults, maybe trade around with it, maybe do some leveraged yield farming, or you can just put it in some comfortable stablecoin yields that you can find elsewhere. For example, Trader Joe. So let's actually look at Trader Joe here. So everyone knows Trader Joe. We all like Trader Joe. I believe the yields or the trading emissions aren't live yet. They also posted this morning. So, this is really fresh off the press. So I'm not really that informed when it comes to these yield farming opportunities because it's been a long time since, we've seen 10% yields on Ether, right? Like, oh, like what the hell is going on here? So they also got some token incentives from the ARBITRUM DAO. You can tell that I'm really excited because I'm talking really fast and I'm like stumbling all over the place. But basically the point is you can take your wrapped staked ETH, you can take your Ether, you can take any asset, be paid to lend it out, be paid to borrow, and then with those borrowed funds, you can deposit it into other farms. And I mean, it has some rewards here. These rewards are kind of confusing because all these farms, it's not like a full range liquidity. You have to do concentrated liquidity, and I think you get paid depending on how tight your liquidity is. So the tighter you are, the more coins that you get, right? You get incentivized for being more tight. That's cool. So there's that. Okay, like some juicy yields left, right, and center. And lastly, how can I not talk about GMX? Okay, my darling, GMX. I've talked about GLP, staking GMX many times on this channel. I think a couple months ago, these yields were like at 3% or something because no one was trading. Volatility was 0, and it was really tough out there for the yield maxis. But now on GLP V1, you can be paid 18%. Pretty good, right? And GLP, the basket, it contains roughly 50% stablecoins, right? Roughly 50% stablecoins, mostly majors, and some Chainlink and Uniswap. And to be honest, this is a pretty good basket to own. If you're bullish crypto, but you're worried about the volatility, you might as well enter this pool, be paid in Ether. And if traders get liquidated, then you make some of their money. Of course, you're taking on the counterparty risk. So if the traders make money, then you're going to underperform the general basket. But there's no free lunch in crypto. But of course, GMX launched V2. And V2 is more interesting. They're introducing this concept of isolated pools where, for example, with GLP, right? If you're buying a basket and if you're trying to be the house, right, be the counterparty, you don't want this basket to own that many assets because what if something's listed there and it pumps 10x or it goes to 0 and everyone is short that asset or long that asset, then there's a chance that your GLP or that pool can be drained. So GLP had this headwind, I suppose, of not being able to list that many new assets. But V2 fixes that by introducing these isolated pools. So it's similar to Uniswap pools, right? Where in V1, there was only one basket of GLP, but in V2, there are many other baskets. So they're able to list more assets and the risk is isolated to any particular pool. For example, they're able to list Arbitrum, XRP, Litecoin, and Doge. And if you want to be a liquidity provider for these pools, you can basically go to buy and then deposit Arbitrum, or you can deposit other types of assets and essentially be the house. Basically. And if you're providing liquidity for Bitcoin USDC and if those traders make a lot of money, well, your pool is unaffected because the only profits are coming out of this particular pool. But anyways, this is too technical, right? I'm wearing a farmer hat. Like, what the hell am I doing here? The real reason I'm talking about here is because of the yields, because we are back, baby. We are back. And for example, Solana, it's pumped out recently. You can be the house, provide liquidity for Sol USDC, and be paid 58%, 45% in the base pool, so purely from trading fees and whatnot, and then 12.8% from Arbitrum tokens. So they were the biggest recipients of the Arbitrum airdrop or the short-term incentives program, just because most of the Arbitrum ecosystem kind of relies on GMX. They are the liquidity hub. A lot of products are built on top of it. So I think it's natural that they got a bunch of tokens. And whether GMX succeeds in the near future is kind of dependent on, yes, like maybe with the incentives program, they can attract more liquidity, but can they keep the liquidity even after these incentives run out? The jury's still out on that one. I used to be bullish. I kind of pivoted my stance around June/July timeframe, and I'm more bullish like RWA assets. But it doesn't mean that I'm wrong. I still own a little bit of GMX, so hopefully it does well. And I'll definitely look forward to farming some of these. There are some airdrop farming opportunities as well. For various L2s, but I think I'll save that for next week's for Farms of the Week. And if you're interested in getting Farms of the Week every single week, check out our newsletter. We've been doing this every single week, actually. I never made a video because yields were dead, but I'm going to start making videos because we are back. And if you want to subscribe to more premium content, check out the HFA research. This premium Discord link will be in the description below. But anyways, subscriber counts. Maybe this is a full retrace. Maybe oh god, yeah. So you can kind of see here, right? Like back in January, I gained 57 subscribers for whatever reason, And I was kind of euphoric, and then it got retraced. And then, you know, a couple weeks later, I lost 35 subscribers. Similar thing happened back in March. I gained 35 subscribers. And then in a couple weeks, I was losing 10 subscribers every single day. So maybe this is the same, right? Maybe I was too euphoric and I'm going to start losing subscribers. But we'll see. But I think, you know, generally talking to people, getting general vibes, right? According to my Vive analysis, I think the vibes are pretty good. And I think, you know, most of the pain for DeFi bros, yield farming bros, I think we've suffered the majority of the pain that we were going to suffer. And I think the future looks bright from now on. So hopefully, you know, I'm not just wearing this farmer hat, holding this rake at the market local top, but I have a feeling that yields are going to look good for the foreseeable future. So every single week on Monday or Tuesday, fresh to your subscription box on YouTube, I'll continue to make these videos, and hopefully, you know, the yield farming bros, we can actually make some passive income, right? Like we're all here for the passive income. We are back. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys another time, and see you next week for Farms of the Week. Thank you. Bye-bye.